Good morning. Welcome to Gimpy's History Corner. We're on video 567, getting near the end of our American Revolution series. Today we're going to examine the differences in the war strategies of Britain and the American colonies. Great Britain was one of the strongest countries in the world at the time as far as military. Of course, the colonies were just getting started, so they haven't had a chance to build any strength up, but we'll see, knowing that, what kind of strategy they both had. The British strategy was to restore imperial authority and suppress rebellion. They thought they should capture major cities like New York City and Philadelphia to break political cohesion. They wanted to destroy the Continental Army in one major battle, exploit loyalist support, which they overestimated. Some loyalists did help the British, but not to the extent the British planned. And then they had the strongest navy in the world at the time, so they wanted to use naval supremacy. The American strategy was to avoid annihilation, of course, by the Continental Army, just to survive day to day, wear down British forces through attrition and mobility, use militias for local defense, harassment, and intelligence, exploit this terrain, the forest, the rivers, and the outlying geography of the land, secure foreign alliances, which ended up being the key secret strategy. They needed France to help, and they did. And turn the war political, using propaganda, civilian mobilization, and morale. What were the tactics of both sides? The British used lines and columns, disciplined volleys, and bayonet charges. They used set-piece battles, sieges of major cities, and rigid European doctrine, all ill-suited for American terrain, and heavy reliance on supply lines across the Atlantic Ocean. Americans ended up fighting a guerrilla warfare hit-and-run type strategy, a Fabian strategy. Avoid direct confrontation. Washington started the war out thinking he would conduct it as a typical European power. Line up, lines and columns, and he got clobbered early on in New York using that method. And it didn't take him long to figure out he could not do that over and over again. Use scouts and their regulars, exploit the terrain, use intelligence networks like the Culper spy ring, and militia integration, flexible and decentralized. Don't put everything in one spot that the British could wipe out in one fell swoop. Geography and logistics. The British constraints was that the transatlantic logistics had month-long delays for orders, supplies, and reinforcements. No central target. America had no central capital to capture to end the war. Their government moved around, started in Philadelphia and moved, I think, to Trenton, to other places. Vast rural terrain made occupation hard, and dependence on ports for naval resupply. And in the end, at Yorktown, the French took out the British Navy. So when Cornwallis took his army to Yorktown to get resupplied by the ships, they weren't there. American advantage: home terrain, short supply lines, what little supplies they had, ability to disperse and reassemble, political geography, decentralized. Colonial governments made decapitation impossible. And lastly, the evolution of strategy over time. The British Phase 1, show of force, expect quick reconciliation. Phase 2, capture New York City, which they did, split New England from the rest. Phase 3, capture Philadelphia, which they did, but defeat Washington, which they did not. Phase 4, Southern strategy, mobilize loyalists in Carolinas, and that strategy failed, and in the South is where they lost the war. The evolution of the American strategy: early on, militia heavy, irregulars warfare. Mid-war, professionalized Continental Army with von Steuben. And late war, Franco-American coordination in the siege of Yorktown. French Navy, trapping the British Army under Cornwallis at Yorktown, surround him, and he eventually surrendered, and that was it. The war ended in 1781. Okay, next we'll look at the strong and weak leadership of the colonial army. If you're watching, thank you.